What's up, guys? This is Trebus here, finally finishing out this bronze to diamond for Terran, and so we're looking at a diamond level replay today. This guy Obi-Wan sent me a bunch of Terran diamond level replays, so thank you to him. This is going to be kind of a short replay because I have just one main point that I want to make that I think is something that becomes relevant around this kind of skill level area. Although I'm a diamond player myself, so how much am I really going to criticize in this play? Anyway, the point I want to make is that at this level, the macro is pretty decent. The scouting is probably okay. The micro and all those things are all rather decent. And things like map architecture start to become very, very important. And so what I want to mention in this replay, and just kind of drive the point of this replay to be this, is take into consideration the map with your build. Okay, so we're going to see Obi-Wan. He goes here for he stays on one gas, gets the command center up, going for the Hellion opening, then adding on some barracks with stim. Nothing too extraordinary there. Now, Shakura's Plateau. A couple notable features. First of all, you have this gigantic open area that separates the second and third base. Okay, so what ends up happening is, especially, well, in all the matchups, but in Terran vs. Zerg, my philosophy is, and this is just kind of how I'm thinking about the matchup on this map, is that as a Terran player, I either need to stop the Zerg from getting his third, or I need to go into the game with the mentality of we're going to split the map in two, because this map really does turn into a gigantic macro fest if both of you can get a nice defensive position and just stay on your respective halves of the map. It's like this base is relatively easy to get, and then if both of you are going into a macro game, you can get this base here, you can get this base here, you can start taking your pocket expansions, and it just becomes very easy to divide it up. This whole bottom area, unless the rocks are down, it's not a very good attack path. These areas have these weird chokes that a Terran will want to be in, but a Zerg player will try to deny the Terran player from being in. And so my philosophy is either take out the Zerg's third or be prepared to go in for a big macro game. And what we're going to see here in this replay is Obi-Wan just makes one critical mistake and it ends up costing him the game. And I think it's because he was possibly not taking into consideration map architecture quite enough. So not even going to really go over a lot of the macro issues. You know, every player can improve their macro. But overall, it's pretty solid. The minerals are low. It's a good balance of minerals and gas. And overall, things just kind of make sense. So here's the point where Obi-Wan has been doing a lot of powering. He's been getting a lot of reactors, tech labs, upgrades, things like that, getting extra command centers. And so in all ways, it looks like he's going into a big macro game. And same with the Zerg. Besides this little harassment here, which I think is a great idea, to do harassments like drops and things like that. If you're wanting to go into this big macro style on this map, a good way to prevent a Zerg from wanting to go attack you is just constantly keep him in fear of his base. Even if you're doing drops and not really doing a lot of damage, he'll have that in the back of his mind that if he moves out, there could be a drop coming at any second. So here we go. Obi-Wan certainly is going for a big macro game now. He's adding on 2 more command centers, getting these upgrades, and I would assume we'd see a couple more production facilities going down. Yep, there they are. 2 more factories going for a big mech, or I guess it's really a biomech kind of thing, because he's getting Marines and Marauders and stim and bio upgrades, so a little perhaps over diversified, but well, actually no, it's fine. So here's the mistake. Here's the one thing that I want to just kind of point out that I think doesn't make sense in this map. Okay, and I'm just going to slow it down here. Obi-Wan pushes out into the middle of the map. Zerg player getting a little overly aggressive right now. No real need to attack. He gets a nice fungal growth off though, and that scares Obi-Wan away from trying to push in anymore. But look at the state of the game right now. The Zerg player has his 3rd base. He's getting his 4th base. Obi-Wan has his 2nd. He's working on getting his 3rd and 4th. And here's even a 5th base up here that he's trying to get. And he's applying pressure into the center. So this pressure is basically never going to break this 3rd because he's spending so much resources in expanding that he's not going to be able to do a lot of damage. And I think it's just a key misstep here to push into this part of the map. Also considering that this is the greatest place that a Zerg player would ever want to engage. It's hugely open, and they have a gigantic arc that they can make, and it's very tough for a Terran player to get all the Zerg units kind of funneled into one spot, which is what they would prefer to do. So at this point, I would say the mistake has already been made of being overly aggressive here and trying to push out while at the same time doing a lot of macroing back home. I think it would be better to actually just back off and use all these units defensively, get the upgrades, start working really fast on the upgrades, even getting vehicle upgrades, and then do heavy scouting to see what the Zerg player is doing. And if he had done a little more scouting, which you can see, oh, he did actually throw down a couple scans, but you would see the Greater Spire and you would see Broodlords incoming. So by this point, can he see the Broodlords? I don't know if he gets a spot on the Broodlords, but that's certainly an aspect where he could improve, is in the scouting. And once you see the Broodlords, honestly, Obi-Wan should be going home right now. He should be staying in his own natural, staying kind of in this kind of area around here, trying to get this base. I would prefer to try to get this base over one of these over here. Actually, maybe that's not true. I don't know. Anyway, the Broodlords come out, and this is the real critical mistake, is trying to be overly aggressive here. He gets his entire army crushed, all the while expanding so many times back at home, and it's just he's just not going to have enough units, and he tried to be over aggressive. And I think that was not the ideal way to approach this map, because ideally both players would max out, you would continue getting these upgrades, which are getting a little bit ignored, and then continually scouting to see what kind of unit composition the Zerg player is going for. You can do little drops and things if your supply is getting to 200 and you would like to exchange units out. Maybe instead of having so many siege tanks or something, you'd like to add on a lot of Vikings or something instead. Just do some drops. Try to distract him. You can do some damage with your marine drops and things of that nature. And then replace those things with Vikings or something like that. So that's really it for this replay. Not scouting the Broodlords and having enough Vikings out was a critical mistake, and then staying in the center of the map. If he had stayed in the center, or if instead of staying in the center of the map he had pulled back, scouted the Broodlords, he would have had a lot more time to get Vikings out, to deter any kind of push coming before you have enough Vikings for the Broodlords. Do some drops and things of that nature. Maybe you could take out a base here. He does actually take out a base, so well done on that respect. But still, I think it's one critical mistake of pushing out on the map and trying to be too aggressive in a place where it's just not appropriate. This is a perfect area for Zerg, and once they have enough bases that they can start, sending units at you from every direction, they're getting Broodlords and stuff like that. It's really just not defensible. So I think it'd been a lot smarter to just go into a big macro game and get those, focus on upgrades and scouting and all that stuff. All right, so this will wrap up this Terran week. So send me. This is the end of this Terran week. I'm working on the Protoss week now, so Zerg players, send me your replays because that will be the one that we do next. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. GG.